live, everybody, but we're also on tape. We are deep down in the bowels of Lee's music. It's episode 65. Kamloops last week. Chris Folds, Greg the engineer, Magic Mike, and Bill at the controls. 65.
1965, Newport Festival, Folk Festival. Bob Dylan comes out and they thought he was going to do an acoustic set. And he straps on a Fender and he starts playing this electric set. And everyone started booing him. They couldn't believe that this bard of the sort of folk scene turned electric, and everyone was mad. But then I say that because it's germane to Kamloops right now, because on page A16 of today's paper, November 2nd, the community front, we have a neat story about Sean Brady, a Dylan-related story. There's a local lawyer in town, a Crown prosecutor named Anthony Veresi, and he just updated and released his book, Bob Dylan Albums, and he writes about Bob Dylan's albums, his writings, his acting from 62 to now, and it's a really, really, really good book.
Lots of people seeing that story online, lots of hits for it.
Yep.
Lots of people paying attention to this too. TRU WolfPack women's soccer team is supposed to be all about the men this season. They're hosting nationals. They've taken
the storyline.
They take center stage. They are going to the Final Four for the first time in program history. We have head coach Mark Pennington and Ainsley Grether back on the Howling Wolf right here in the hot seats. First up, though, we'll have Katie Neustaeter. She is the #1 vote getter, councillor.
That's right. She was her first foray into civic politics, and she topped the polls, which is unusual. And so she was one of 8 elected. And last night, November 1st, they had their inauguration, their swearing in at TRU, and their first real meeting is on November 14th.
And you've basically anointed her the next mayor of Kamloops.
Well, she might be. I mean, it wasn't me. It was Tina Lang first who mentioned.
But you
it,
on the show we did though.
Yeah.
You said you think.
I'll bet that she'll be mayor within 2 terms.
Mm-hmm. She has political pedigree. She's kind of got like a exuberant outlook, 2 optimistic vibes to her. So we'll see if she can keep those up for the next 4 years, especially in this climate that we're in right now politically. Lee's music. You went on a road trip.
Good morning. Yeah, super cool road trip. We went up to Prince George and did the LEAP conference with Community Futures. And the star of the conference wasn't one of the speakers. It was in this old hotel. They decided to update all the toilets to bidets.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Those are the best.
You must have loved that.
They're the best.
I have experienced a bidet now, and it's...
You going to get one in your house in Valley View?
No, I don't think I'm going to go out and buy one.
I'd get one if I
Give
could.
us your review.
My review is... it's damp.
It's a damp experience.
Yeah, but it makes sense, though. The Europeans are so far ahead of us on that, if you think about it. It makes total sense to have a bidet and your regular toilet plus your toilet paper.
Yeah.
Way cleaner afterwards.
I wonder if
You know what?
Quartz sells them.
I did confidence checks, and yeah, it works.
It's
you
the
know,
best.
Confidence checks.
yeah. Well, you check.
Yeah.
But hey, what about just having a shower?
Just having a shower
You
after.
could have a shower, but halfway through the day, if you're going to go do your
That's-
business.
But then
That's
there's
tough, yeah.
feet issues in the shower.
feet issues.
If you're talking about having a shower just after you go to the washroom,
Yeah.
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, there's feet issues that
What do you mean?
arise. If you're showering right after you go to the washroom,
Number 2?
yeah, that's what you're talking
clean
about,
up
right?
What's the
before you
feet
jump
have
in
to
the
do?
shower.
What do you do with your feet when you go to the bathroom?
No, I'm saying if he's talking about just jump in the shower after you go to the washroom, like that's a bit dangerous, no?
What do you mean?
That's not quite what I.
What's
no,
dangerous?
Clean up before you go into the shower.
Okay.
No, what
okay.
I'm saying is a bidet makes total sense because we're in the stone age of bathroom hygiene in North America. Think about this:
Yeah.
you're out, right, and you get some dog duty on your arm, or you're playing with your baby and you get some poo on your arm. Are you just going to grab a dry cloth and wipe it off? No, you're going to get it wet. You're going to get soap. You're going to do all this.
Isopropanol, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, you're not going to just take some dry toilet paper and wipe it off. But that's what we do in North. It's ridiculous. I want a bidet. This should be in the building code.
There you go. Okay, I just touched.
I don't know
on
what he's on about feet. In the
Well,
bathroom.
I thought he was talking about just going to the washroom and going right into the shower to,
Well,
to
what does that
spray
do with
off.
feet?
Because then if the poo's going down your leg, it's getting on your feet in the shower.
No, you use the
I have to spell it out for you.
No, you use the Charmaine first, and then you go to. Don't you ever go to the washroom and then take a shower?
Okay, yeah, but I thought he's talking about for the purpose
Oh, he's gonna skip-
specifically
he's
of
gonna-
cleaning.
he's
Just
gonna
okay,
skip?
go to the washroom.
No, because he wants to save
shower.
money on toilet paper.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, wow. Yeah, you went in a dark place there. Literally.
I thought he had a fetish going on. I wasn't sure what that was all
Oh
about.
wow.
Yeah, well, and the other problem is you get it all over your fur, right?
Well,
It's,
that's right.
Well, your furry costume.
Absolutely, yeah.
Speaking of which,
days are
Well,
I rocked that on Halloween. I was a GMA, genetically modified animal, and the star of a show because the lawyer lawyers had a Halloween party at Hal Rogers Center. That was a lot of fun. Me and Greg went to it.
Halloween for you is just like another day of the week, though.
Yeah.
The way that you are with your costumes and everything and your conventions. But we also did something together recently, didn't we, Mike? What did we do?
Well, we went and explored looking for wild pumpkins.
Wild pumpkins.
Wild pumpkins.
As opposed to ones that are grown
You know the ones that are grown that you get at
Greenhouses.
the grocery store and stuff. They're nice for jack-o'-lanterns and stuff like this, but wild pumpkins sometimes will give us that extra edge when we're carving and having the pumpkin carving contests that we have.
And we went out to Tranquille to do this, and Folds was lipping me off, and I just slapped him. I don't encourage bullying, but I just slapped him, and his glasses went flying into the bush. And when you went into the bush, what did you find in the bush?
I found an incredible array of fresh peppers.
Fresh peppers. Fresh peppers. Always with the peppers. It's always a red pepper that you seem to find in these
There was a red pepper there, and it had a receipt next to it. Someone had been out there trying to find the old corn maze, which is no longer there, and they dropped their bag from
New Leaf Produce Market.
Yep. Yeah, great. Like, who would do that? And they were good peppers.
Oh, very good peppers.
And it was kind of scary to be at Tranquille during Halloween with all the kind of tradition there. Mike, did you kind of get scared by anything out there?
Yeah, the history of the place, the underground tunnels, all I could think about was it would be a totally different place today if they had Sealy mattresses that were comfortable to sleep in, and that would really, when you have a good night's sleep, that's better than any kind of
any type of counseling or any type of medical treatment.
It'd still be open today. It'd be open
still open today.
Sealy's heal all.
That's right.
I think what we're saying here is...
I think Sealy could have solved the social disorder on the streets if they just put Sealy's everywhere. That's right.
I also noticed that I was just feeling kind of drained after the whole trip. And we all went for a stop. And where do we normally go to get a little pick-me-up?
Of course, Bob.
We went to McDonald's. We've talked about bidets. Off camera, you were talking about your time at Bonanza.
Bonanza.
You worked at Bonanza?
Yeah. We before the show started, we had to wipe this down, and we mentioned that Mike used to ride his bike 15 kilometers to go and get a pop at Bonanza. I worked there as my second job as a busboy.
Are they still around? Are they done?
No, I think they're done. I think there's one. I looked it up, actually. There was one or two left in Nebraska or something. It was a great place.
We should go on a road trip.
The salad
Another
bar.
road trip.
I want to go to Lincoln.
Well, Gord's Appliance and Mattress Center, they are still around. I don't think they sell bidets, but they do fix appliances, and they sponsor our show. Okay. That was fun. I don't know. I had a bad picture there.
I never thought that you wouldn't wipe before you jumped in the shower. You just
I just
assumed
thought
that
it
he
was just
gonna-
direct.
We were in line. I'm not going in your shower ever.
Don't want the 9-hour cycle, please. Freaking $500 hydro bill, piece of trash.
I need to speak to Gord on the Niner. Hey, no, I'm actually Steve, the new owner.
First things first, pal. You should probably update your sign. Number 2, my dishwasher is tangled again. The 9-hour cycle, hydro bill through the roof. You guys don't fix appliances, I know that, so I need a new one.
We actually do fix appliances, but if you want, I can show you some new ones first and have a look. You got a price in mind?
Money is not an obstacle for me.
Money's definitely an obstacle. He's the cheapest guy in Kamloops. Ain't that right, Darby?
Well, this here is going to be your Cadillac model, top of the line. This is our middle of the road dishwasher, just a great dishwasher at a great price. This is our budget friendly model, still a great dishwasher, just at a bit of a lower price.
Price doesn't work for me. Let's see if we can fix mine at home.
Alrighty then. There you go, seems to be good. How's the fridge working?
The fridge is fine, Gord.
It's Steve.
Katie Neustaeter, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Big night for you last night. How did you celebrate?
Thanks for having me. It was great. Celebrated by going up with the family first ahead of time. Before that was at the grand opening of Valley View Secondary School, which was really fantastic. So brought my kids who attend that school afterwards out for dinner. We had a great time.
Where'd you
and then
go?
We went to the swing in Earl's.
Earl's.
What did you
Earl's, where they gave me a complimentary glass of champagne. So
nice.
thanks, Earl's.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's going to need it this term.
Your words, not mine.
So you got in, and you got in style with the most votes. What did that mean to you?
I think it meant that Kamloops has said that this is the job they want me to do. And so that's very confidence-giving. It felt like a real commissioning into the role, and a celebration of my team that worked really hard and rallied around me during this time too. But if anything, it felt like a sign that this is definitely what I'm supposed to be doing.
Folds kind of alluded to it jokingly there about the kind of climate on council. Can this council work together and this mayor to get things done?
Yeah, I think that that's a theoretical climate in a lot of ways. Obviously, we have a couple concrete solutions of relationships that might be a little tricky, but if you were there last night or if you watched it, you saw the camaraderie that's already developed between this team, and we have a lot of common ground to start on. So I am extraordinarily hopeful, and I don't mean that euphemistically. I mean it in a very real way. I'm excited to see this group work together. I think there's been a lot of talk about how solid the council is and the great perspectives and different perspectives that exist there. So I'm nothing but excited.
You do seem to be optimistic and encouraged and hopeful. Can you maintain that for the next 4 years?
Well, I've maintained it for 40 years so far in the other work that I've done, so I think so. I mean, that's the job. It's going to be difficult. We are faced with extraordinary challenges right now. I don't think any of us are under any illusion that it's going to be a cakewalk over the next 4 years by any means. But when you take that oath and you promise to be collaborative, you promise to show respect, you promise to operate within integrity, if we all adhere to that as we should, that was a very serious moment for us, we should be okay for the next 4 years.
I'm not sure that happened though right off the bat though. With Dale Bass and with Mr. Hammer Jackson.
Well, we swore in last night,
yes,
so we start from today.
Is that a concern for you though? That relationship?
If anything, I hope that it's a place where I can help, where I can support. I mean, and I saw even prior to day one, we went in for orientation and I saw them shake hands and exchange words. And my hope is that that's where we continue from, and that we're all working from that common ground and common interest. Kamloops is the goal. Building Kamloops is the goal, and it is not our right to let personal relationships get in the way of that. That's something that we choose to set aside, and if we can't do that, we shouldn't have run. So that's my personal policy, and I hope to be able to be a bridge in that space if needed.
What's your father, Kevin Krueger, was a longtime MLA for the BC Liberal Party, and what did you get? I mean, we've talked about this in stories before, but for the viewers, politically wise, how did that help you with is the family political? Have you learned anything from, not just from your father, but from obviously his peers, or growing up in a political family? Is there any dynamic there that helps you?
That's a good question. I mean, politics wasn't talked a lot around the dinner table. Sometimes his work is what came up. Obviously, we're all observing it from the front lines. So that's part of the experience. If anything, it taught me how important community building is to me. And politics do irritate me. I mean, we see examples every single day of politics getting in the way of people. And so a lot of that was my experience as a witness, a frontline witness to those things, what I do want, what I don't want, how I think it should work, how I think it shouldn't work. And I struggle with party politics. That's something that I will always wrestle through. And why municipal politics really appealed to me. Operating from your own space of integrity, standing within the courage of your own convictions, nothing mandated to you about how you should vote or where you should stand. That was the reason why I chose to take a run at this seat and why I wanted to serve here, to stand as an individual and make those decisions on behalf of my community.
And what are some of your goals that you want to get done?
I think I've talked a lot post-election in particular about strengthening the city of Kamloops from the inside. I think providing support there will be really important. So taking a look at maybe gaps that exist. How do we empower the city of Kamloops staff from the council level? What do we do to support them within those struggles as they exist to improve our city? And then those obvious ones that stood out on the campaign trail. So of course, community safety is at the forefront of everyone's minds. And doing what we can within our purview. I know people love to say, cast those lines aside and do whatever you have to. Don't worry about getting in your lane. But that is our job, to do the job and not to cross over into provincial or federal jurisdiction. And things get really messy when you do.
I think Ken Christian said that on his outgoing interview. He said, people talk about the sexy sort of news of the day issues that come up, but the real important stuff is the boring stuff, keeping the roads clear, keeping the sewers clear, making sure that people have services. It's boring but important, right? Do you think, I know the incoming mayor, or the now mayor, Hammer Jackson, and I think there might have been a few candidates who had said that called for a core review of staffing, a deep review of how things are going. Not to say that there are problems, but if there are problems, to identify them. Is there any concern on your part with respect to how the staff is organized and whether or not there should be a review of management and staff in the city?
I'd say first and foremost, to your first point, I completely agree. The sign of healthy government is that everything's boring, that you do not hear from government. If we are hearing from government too much, it means that maybe the job needs to be done a little bit differently. So the goal is to get back to boring, where people only want to talk about potholes. So we'll know we've had some success when that happens.
Real.
And then as far as a core review, I mean, as an executive director of a not-for-profit, I welcomed reviews. 365 reviews are what you want. We should be holding all of these things when it's public service or not-for-profit with open hands and total transparency. So I think that there's a lot of benefit in providing review, how that's done, the structure of that, how that's done, the consultation, who you talk to and what you're evaluating is tremendously important. And I think that's something that we're going to have to really focus on throughout this term, is not just what we do, but how we do it. How we do things matters. How we get to the end goal really matters. And I think that's everything from a review to addressing social issues or housing, any of these things. It's not just plowing through, it's doing it right. That's how we set up for success 20, 30, 40 years from now in Kamloops, is by doing it right today.
So you're in the political spotlight now, and I looked at your Instagram and I saw a post that was interesting to me. I guess some trolls came out and thought they were kind of exposing you for saying that you're a woman of faith. But what happened there, and why did you feel it was important to post?
Yeah, and to be clear, that was on my personal Instagram for sure. You're right, there is a political sphere that I operate in now, but that was on my personal post. So yeah, definitely after our first debate, there were some trolls that come out of the woodwork, as they do. I have a personal policy about not engaging with trolls online, but that doesn't mean that you can't answer back for those things. So yeah, I'm proud of my faith. It's a space that I've always stood in. I'm certainly not ashamed of. And I do believe in the separation of church and state. When you're making political decisions, you're doing it on behalf of your community. You're doing your very best to remove all bias while bringing your whole self to the table. And my whole self includes my personal belief system. So I think that moment was just about saying, if this is supposed to be a gotcha, you better go find something else, because this is not something that I will hide or something that I'm ashamed of. I'm tremendously proud of the community work that my faith group does. I attend a local church, and we invest deeply in our community, in funding organizations that matter, in supporting vulnerable people. And I don't think there's any reason why I should have to hide that, or why anyone should be able to use it as a weapon.
No, does your faith still influence how you operate politically?
Yeah, I think my faith holds me accountable, as it should. If you have a faith system that you can stand in your integrity within, it certainly guides me, I would say, within morals and what that looks like. And the example that we set and how seriously I take that. I mean, last night we were sworn in and I chose to hold my Bible while I did that. That's an option that you have in that space. And that's also a public declaration. I am accountable both to the people of this community and to the God that I follow. And, you know, that's something we should take extraordinarily seriously, and I think is an asset.
You used to be in the media. You worked at CFJC. I think you were a host for Midday. And what else did you do in the media? Did you do any reporting or anything like that?
Yeah, I was just a fill-in host on Midday, but that's part of the reason I fell in love with community and the work that we do, getting 5 guests really quickly that are passionate about what they're doing. I started there as a creative writer-producer, so I was in creative, and then started doing more on-air stuff, and then I was a columnist as well. So I'm not a journalist. I wasn't a journalist. I'm a little bit too free-for-all for that. The ability to lay aside personal opinion would have always been challenging for me.
But you know how to deal with media, or you were in the media. So how is that going to help you, and are you going to help the other councillors sort of deal with maybe some of the more persistent and reporters?
I like the media. I mean, that feels like a strange thing to say to you guys, but I think having worked in media, the greatest lesson is that all people are just people. And that's really important, that this relationship is healthy too. So I think that's probably the greatest inside track on that, is the understanding that the person on both sides of the microphone is just a person, is just a community member, and giving the benefit of the doubt. I don't know that anyone on that team needs any help or is asking me for any help in that space, but happy to provide it whenever I can. That's what we do. I mean, the people sitting around that horseshoe have tremendous experience in their lane of expertise, and I think that it's to everyone's benefit to bring everything we can to the table and to share knowledge and to support one another. So absolutely an open book when it comes to sharing any knowledge I can.
There was, I guess, another kind of newsy-ish item that came out of last night with Glenn Hilke speaking up. What did you make of him, and what message did he have?
Yeah, I mean, I think his message was that we need to care for vulnerable people in community, and there was no one in that room who would disagree with that. I disagree with time and place, and I also disagree with anyone who thinks that they have the corner on compassion and hold that as on higher ground than anyone else. I mean, we ran in this election and gave of ourselves and did the hard work and are digging in for the next 4 years because we love people. We care about people. And I think that working in collaboration with community is what makes these kinds of programs successful. And I think that's what we need from service providers right now, and those who can demonstrate that they can do it well, that there are good neighbor bylaws that they will abide by and take very seriously by the people in community who are impacted when things are run less than excellently, and that's something that we need to consider too. So I would say I appreciate the message that we need to care for vulnerable people. Of course we do. I'm in not-for-profit. I am passionate about making sure that no one dies on our streets from heat or from cold. Of course we are. And I think that's a shared message.
Speaking of which, today's November 2nd. There's still no operator for the winter shelters that the CMHA suddenly backed out of, even though they applied for the funding. So the message they're giving us is a little bit wonky. What's going on with that with the city? What's happening? Are these shelters going to open? Are they going to still open at the Yacht Club in the Stewart Wood? Give us an update.
Well, it's BC Housing that ultimately, as you know, determines the operator. So that's up to them. What the City of Kamloops does is offers facilities where that can happen. Of course, provides relationship building between local operators and BC Housing so that they know the lay of the land and the landscape. But at the end of the day, it is BC Housing that will make that decision. We were supposed to have it on November 1st, and the timeline is really interesting when you take a look at it. I mean, people aren't chosen as operators randomly or assigned that role.
They applied for it.
You apply through an RFP.
Yeah.
It is a long process. It's a decision that you make, and that operating license was given out on, I believe, October 4th, and it wasn't until after October 15th that they decided to remove themselves from that role. So I don't think we can expect a magical solution a couple of days later. I think that it needs to be done well, like we were talking about before. Okay, if we're starting from scratch, let's do it well. My understanding is that the City of Kamloops, the staff there is doing absolutely anything they can.
They're working.
And we have, they're working on it, and we have some great people working on it too. And I'm hopeful we will come out with a better result.
You're a new council. You're part of a new council. Do you think there's an argument to be made that the consultation with neighborhoods need to be improved with respect to shelter locations? With the Yacht Club one, I have 3 letters that I can't run. They're so long. I'll try to get them online. But there are letters from people there. Some would say that it's a NIMBYism, but if you read them, you could say, well, they're just concerned. So 3 letters, and there's a whole bunch more comments online with the Yacht Club. A lot of neighbors there are either opposed to it or are pissed off because they didn't know about it until they read it in the paper. So do you think the consultation needs to be improved, and if so, how?
Yeah, I don't think we have to make an argument for that. I think that's a yes. Okay. We absolutely need to improve consultation. And I would say we also saw that last year with the curling rink and where things were set up. There was a lack of consultation. It cost tens of thousands of dollars for those local businesses to shell out from their own pockets that they couldn't afford after a pandemic, and that is not okay. Shelters have to go somewhere. And so there is this line between not in my neighborhood and people can't die on our streets. And there's a limited number of facilities that we can put an operation like that in. That being said, we do need to go and knock on doors. We do need to have a plan for that says, here's what's happening. It's been identified. How can we best support you? That's just being a good neighbor. That's just making sure that we bring everyone in on the conversation. So I think without a shadow of a doubt, that does need to happen. And I don't think that an inventory and evaluation of, what social housing spaces exist in the city, how often are they full, what does capacity look like? Does some exist that we're not evaluating effectively? Does some need to be moved into second stage housing that is currently existing, just in that first step model for a really long time? Those are all really important things. But again, we need shelter now. So my hope is that we improve, not my hope, my determination is that we improve these things in future years. It can be done, but it means community needs to work together. It means we have to, again, stop the politics so that we can come to the middle ground and get some real things done.
Foldsy over here proclaimed that at some point he expects you may be the next mayor of Kamloops. But what about your political aspirations longer term?
Yeah, I did not enter this with any political aspirations. Like I said before, it's,
Well, you entered to win.
I certainly entered to win. That is the goal. I said in it to win.
Well, that's
it.
an aspiration.
You're right. I should have said political aspirations beyond
this,
step.
yeah.
This is the job that I applied for. This is the job that I believe I was qualified for. And I am thrilled to serve in this role at this time and to support our new mayor as he learns the ropes. And we do too as a primarily new council. But this is the job for today.
What about longer term?
Longer term, I mean, if you look at my career and the trajectory, I like to take big swings, and even I don't know what they're going to be all the time. So even moving from media into a not-for-profit leadership role, that was not a long-term plan, something I had my eyes set on. You answer the calling as it comes.
Okay.
That's
Final
an honest
words.
answer.
Yeah,
Not
no,
a dodge, it's
okay.
an honest answer.
Final words?
Final word, I love this city. It was the primary message of my campaign throughout it. I am devoted to it. I'm so grateful that Kamloops would choose me to do this, and I am properly terrified of the job ahead as well, but really excited to work with this team and to get to know Kamloops even better.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Katie. This segment brought to you by McDonald's. Up next, the TRU WolfPack.
Do you mind coming to the second window and he can kind of speak to you face to face?
Okay, sounds good. Time to speak to Amitesh, give him his big award. Amitesh.
Oh, I remember you.
How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I've come to the drive-thru a bunch of times,
Okay.
and you've always been super nice and
Oh, I
bubbly.
remember that day you came over there and you said I was pretty nice to you.
I'd like to make an announcement, and it goes like this. I love McDonald's flat out, and I love the coffee, and I love shopping local right here at McDonald's.
Same here, I work over here, I eat a lot of McDonald's as well. See you again at first window.
Okay, bye. You made me feel great when I left the drive-thru window, so guess what? We've got the first ever Kamloops Last Week Outstanding Drive-Thru Employee of the Month award. It goes to you.
Thank you for that. What is that? Great, how about you?
Doing well. Just a couple of announcements here first. I just want to say you're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you this morning.
Thank you.
You also get this
What is it
Cineplex
for?
coupon for you.
Oh, that's good. I love that one.
Yeah, do you have an acceptance speech for us?
Keep coming to McDonald's and that's really good. Thank you for that.
Testing.
Very weak.
Testing.
Hello. Hello.
Mark Pennington, Ainsley Grether, the TRU WolfPack women's soccer team, hell of a season. Let's start with the last 2 weeks here. How magical have they been, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot less grey in my beard, I think, before the last couple of weeks started. But, I mean, we've talked all season about what our internal goals are. But, I mean, I think we'd be lying if we said we genuinely believe we'd be pushing for this. It's what we've been aiming towards. And in the last couple of years, we've made some big strides. And, yeah, we're just really excited to be here and just kind of riding the wave right now, I think.
Take me back to the Victoria game. I know I asked you after the game about it, but that feeling, the penalty, when you scored to push that game into extra time, what was that like? Hometown crowd scoring that goal.
I mean, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it was like every other goal, but there was something obviously like that felt a bit different about it. It was good to get that goal, and I feel like even me and Cam have talked about it. Like after that moment, I feel like we just knew that like we were going to win that game, regardless of like the overtime, the penalty shootout. So yeah, it felt good, that's for sure.
And you know the other side of that now too, because I looked at the box score. I guess you shot and you didn't score again. So what does that feel like?
It didn't feel good, that's for sure. It didn't feel good. No, at Mount Royal, I mean, it's hard. I'm not going to obviously make excuses for it, but you know, going into overtime is hard. It's 120 minutes. It's a long game when you're playing that. So like, really, it kind of comes down to when you're in that shootout at the end, like mentally just checking in and just kick the ground a little bit at Mount Royal, to be honest, and snuff the ground, and I miss it. But kind of the same feeling, like we were all standing at the line, and like it got to sudden death, like basically like to the extreme of this game could go. Like as long as we could push this game, we pushed this game to the bitter end. And same thing, me and Cam just stood there, and I I just know that this is, for some reason, I just know this is going to go our way.
Yeah.
And it did.
Mark, going back again to Victoria, sitting back and watching fans run onto the field. I mean, you had a good view of that. What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, I was actually able to step backwards even during the penalties in overtime and kind of take it in a little bit and think how cool this was that the crowd was banging the drums. They went completely silent for all of our penalty shots, which was, I don't know if that was maybe more off-putting than what they were trying to do, because all of a sudden it goes silent. I always think about that in basketball when they're doing the free throws and they make them. Yeah, but I think if the whole stadium went silent, it would put them off more because they just wouldn't be used to it. But yeah, no, I managed to kind of step back and look at it and think to myself, like, this is really cool. Like, this is why you do this, and you know, whether you come out on top or you don't, like, these moments are kind of why you step forward as a player, and then, you know, and then into the world of coaching and that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool. Like, I think it's a moment that'll live with the girls forever.
Mm-hmm. So you're down 2-0 at the half. The season's on the line. As a coach, I know some coaches have different at the halftime. Do you say anything to the team? Are you careful to, or do you just let them sort of think about it? What do you do in that situation?
I mean, I think it's probably worth talking and bringing up the fact that our preparations were really, really badly messed up. I know Ainsley was probably having as much of a meltdown as anybody when the bus didn't show up to pick us up for an hour. We got to the field 30 minutes before kickoff. Oh, wow. So we had about a 25-minute warm-up. So that didn't help us. Whether we had a full warm-up and could have done something about the goals, I don't know. But I mean, it doesn't help, right? And so we get to half-time and you know, I'm just as nice as pie, and I'm the really, you know, nice, calm guy at halftime.
Yeah, really zen.
It's funny. I tried to be pretty calm, but as
the tortorella came out.
Yeah.
How do you remember this?
As the team talk went on, it got a little bit more intense. But I think it might have been Ainsley or one of the girls said, "Look, that just wasn't us in the first half." And we've tried to remind ourselves all season that no matter what the scoreboard says, as long as we're us and we walk away from it saying we've given everything, then we're okay with that, even if the result's on the wrong side. So, this is going to be us. You know, we made 3 changes to get some different kind of energy in some different parts of the field, and from a coaching perspective, you know, when those pay off, it's good. And one of the kids that came on, how we got the tying goal, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, we just tried to kind of get some energy back into the game and kick them in the butt a little bit, but also remind ourselves that, hey, you know, let's just go be us.
Well, they scored in the 89th too. It's 3-2. I mean, at that point, even then, are you still like, okay, we're gonna do this?
This is crazy because, you know what, like, I'm not saying that like this team is so different, but years ago, last year, the year before, we probably wouldn't be in this situation. But this year, like, same thing. Me and Cam were literally like in that moment, we talked about it after. We were like, that game wasn't done. It was the last minute of the game. It was the last 5 minutes. They're up a goal, and I just, like, the game wasn't done. Mm-hmm. We were like, no, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we have 30 seconds left. Like, the game's not done yet. And I think, like, honestly, there's a big difference between, you know, like, winning mentality and losing mentality. And this year we have winning mentality, and that has come with us every single game, even in games that have, you know, gone the opposite way. We've had winning mentality in these games where, like, it just doesn't shut off. And that's, like, been, I think, like, the biggest difference this year.
Well, Mark, I think I've asked you a version of this question, but I'll ask you flat out. I mean, were you worried about your job security after 2 games this season? I mean, like, I've been around long enough to see if you lose and then 1 win last season and you start with 2 losses. I mean, do you start having those thoughts? Or did you have a safety net there?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say. I mean, obviously you think about it, right? And you think if the season goes really, really badly, then I think from where we've come from and where we were, I think we had some time. And of course, with COVID being right in the middle of from when I got here, that's kind of really I guess derailed us a little bit in terms of a timeline. You know, I had some kind of 1, 3, and 5 year kind of internal plans for the group and where I thought we could get to, but yeah, and then COVID came and we missed 2 springs. And to be honest, and as Ainsley will know, we spent a lot of time in training in season talking about our opponent and how we're going to play on the weekend, whereas your spring is your opportunity to kind of really focus on yourselves a little bit and really start to grow your kind of, I guess, team identity on the field and your playing experience and your playing identity and philosophies. And so we managed to get a spring last year, which was our first real spring together, and that, I think, helped us a ton. You know, and then obviously Ainsley coming back to us this year was a big influence too. You got to give me that $5 for it. But yeah, no, she's been awesome, and we know what Ainsley can bring us both on and off the field. So, but after that first weekend, I was super disappointed and felt pretty low in the terms of I really thought we were going to have a big push this year, and so it's worth remembering. I mean, we were missing our captain on the first day. We were missing 3 of our starting back 4 on the first day. And, you know, I thought we were actually good value against Calgary for the longest time. And then we missed a penalty shot, which, you know, that happens. And I think it just kind of derailed us a little bit and took the wind out of our sails, and it ended up 5, which kind of stung. But, yeah, I mean, there was a moment I was thinking, this could be a long season. But belief's everything. And even the games we've lost this year, other than that opening weekend, I mean, even UMBC, we did everything but put the ball in the net in the last 10 minutes. We created so many chances. And even against UBC, you know, we tied the second half 1-1. Ainsley scored late on, and we just keep going. You know, we scored against UBCO late on in the game that we lost. So, I mean, one of the other coaches, the U of I coach, actually said the worst thing about playing you guys is you don't know when you're beaten, and you got so much belief that you just keep going. And so, and that's huge in sport. Confidence and belief.
Belief this weekend? Can you get it done? Can you win the Canada West?
Absolutely, and I think kind of what Mark was just saying is there isn't one team this weekend that I'm like, oh no, about. Like, even UBC, their record is pretty mint, not gonna lie. If that was our first matchup, I would, we've talked about it, Friday is our focus, Saturday will come when it comes, but the plan is to go out and beat Trinity. There's not a doubt in my mind that we can't do it. Whatever happens, and we get a second chance the next day. But the 3 matchups that we potentially have this weekend, I'm not scared. I'm not worried about either of them. It's really just a matter of having the belief, showing up, because there hasn't been one game this season, maybe minus our opening weekend. We could debate that maybe we were in it, but there hasn't been one game this year against anybody that I've been this is out of our hands. This is so beyond our hands. Everything has been just a matter of whether we want to grab it or not. So
I think longer term, and if there were any questions from the outside or about, you know, in your own mind or doubts, I mean, those have been erased. And what do you think long term this season, regardless of what happens this weekend, can do for the program?
I mean, there's a couple of different things. I think instilling some belief in the program in general. I think also, you know, it feels like we've really turned a corner with the fan base. I think a lot of the fans have actually really enjoyed coming to our games. And I don't know if that was the case in the past. I get text messages, even when we've lost games, they say that you guys are so much fun to watch because it's organized chaos at times. You just don't know. It's a whirlwind, and you know, if we're not going to score, we'll concede. It's just back and forwards. And so I think kind of getting the town and excited about women's soccer again has been a big plus. I also think, I've already seen it. I've started to get more and more emails from a recruitment perspective. You know, if you're a really good player and you've got interest from the WolfPack, and you've also got interest from a team that, you know, quite often makes playoffs, if you're a really good player, you want to be playing at the top level. So I think it opens the door to continue to bring good recruits and you know, even maybe a level up and help, because we've got some really, really good players here that I think, you know, 1 or 2 more players can really complement, and who knows, to see where we go from here. But probably don't want to set the expectations too high though, right?
Okay, you were talking to Mike before the show. You play guitar, piano. If the WolfPack medal, will you come back and perform on our show?
He will.
If we medal, absolutely. I'll even dress up for you.
So you just need to win 1 game this weekend, and
that's right.
Then
you're back. Yeah. You're back for round 2.
Yeah.
With the big dogs.
With the big dogs. I'm in the Ainsley big dog.
Will you sing with him?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, why not?
Oasis, maybe.
Yeah,
Oasis,
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is it Wonderwall that you like the best out of Oasis, or what's your favorite Oasis song?
I've actually heard him play Wonderwall. We all sang it a little.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we did do that.
Our team building.
I'm warmed up.
Yeah. No. There's a whole bunch of them I like. Actually, some of that B-side stuff I think is pretty cool.
Whatever you do after this weekend, don't look back in anger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, we're just excited. Let's be honest, we're in the Final 4, which is a massive achievement regardless of what happens this weekend. But we talked in the room yesterday. We've approached the week the same way as we always do. We watched video, and then we had a chat and said, you know, we're in the Final 4 with the number 1 ranked team in the country, the number 2 ranked team in the country, and I think Calgary are in 7th in the country, or at least they have been in and around those. I don't know if the rankings have changed, but we were, I think, ranked we were ranked 11th in our conference. And I think 30,
the preseason coaches poll there, right?
Yeah, 36 overall in the country or something. So I'm sure those 3 over there are already kind of, booking their plane tickets to nationals, and we're there to spoil the big boys party. Like, we're not there to make up the numbers.
Well, that's what we talked about. There's going to be people, when we book our ticket to nationals, there are going to be people that are like, damn, how did that team get in over UBC, Trinity, Calgary? And I would pay $1 million for that. I'd pay $1 million to hear somebody say that to me, and I'd be like, well, I just think we deserve it.
It'll be a champagne supernova.
It will be a champagne supernova. I agree. Yeah.
Don't forget the umbrellas. It's going to be wet.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really wet. And you know what? Something else that I'm really disappointed about for the girls is we got no recognition in the All-Star Awards either. No players recognised in first team, second team, or the rookie team.
Chip on the shoulder.
And we talked about that. Mount Royal had four players, I think, in the All-Star team, and we had 0. So we said, let's go and prove all the voters wrong and
talk about playoffs.
Yeah, have a good view from the sidelines, Mount Royal, this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll take where we are and know people in the All-Star team.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. This has been fun.
Thanks. Yeah. Let's hope we can bring back a medal.
You're going somewhere, but you don't know where.
Don't know where. November 3rd, we're leaving. Me and my wife, we're going to fly somewhere. She's planned out a little 4-day trip. Don't know where we're going.
Passport required.
Passport required.
Where do you think you're going?
I have no idea.
Yes. Lions play Sunday, right?
Yeah. I'm coming back on that day, so my phone will be off. I'm taping the game, so I'm not going to talk to anybody from today until tomorrow until Monday when I celebrate the win.
But you leave tomorrow?
Leave on Thursday, November 3rd, come back on November 6th,
You
Sunday.
need the passport, so you're probably not going long distance.
Probably the West Coast. Yeah, it's only 4 days, 3 days, so yeah.
Okay.
It's not Vegas.
My vote is Disneyland. He's going to Disneyland.
Going to Disneyland.
All the costumes and stuff.
I'm hoping it's LA.
Yeah.
We spent a week in LA, out in Westwood, where UCLA is. My wife was at a conference there, and I just spent the whole week going to Santa Monica and reading the newspaper and walking the pier. It was beautiful. It was like 85 degrees. So if it's LA, I'll be okay with that.
Okay, West final, semifinal prediction.
Yeah, BC is going to win by. They're gonna win handily.
We should do a bet of some sort. I think they're going to win 2, though.
They're gonna win.
So, do you want to do a bet on the spread or here? Or what do you
Sure, let's do a spread. Let's say BC by 11.
You think they're going to win by more?
By 11 or more.
Okay, so I'll take the
under
on that.
Yeah.
Okay, $20.
$20 it is. Oh, yeah, $20 it is. $20 McDonald's gift card, and the stadium. It's like the lower bowl's already sold out.
They opened up the upper bowl?
The uppers open from goal line to goal line, and apparently that's selling really fast.
Nathan Rourke
is there. Let's see, the Whitecaps do so good. They can't do that good.
Yeah.
But no, the Lions are looking really good. The owner, we should shout out to Amar Doman. He's amazing. He just had a promotion. And the tickets. My sister's going. She's bringing my daughter, who's living down there.
Like $18 or something. Or?
Like $50 for really good seats. Now up top, $30, $10 for kids. Mm-hmm. And Doman just announced yesterday that any fans from Vancouver Island who want to see the game, because they can come over, it's an early game, to 1:30. They can buy their ticket, and includes he's going to get them a bus to and from the ferry terminal. The guy's amazing.
Put bidets in the stadiums?
Bidets are in the stadiums, and then they're going to have slippers for you because you have a foot fetish.
And showers for the rest of us.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be old like the 80s there. It's going to be. I used to go see the Lions in the 80s when there were 60,000 fans. It's not going to be 60,000, but they'll probably hit 35 or so.
Mike, you'll be watching the game.
Mike's going to be all over it.
Absolutely, mainly because I got some queso dip and some chips.
Yeah.
And
Mike's a big sport ball fan.
Yeah,
sport
love
ball.
the food, man.
What do you think about the show today? Mark Pennington, you going to sell him a guitar, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. He walked through the factory, of course, and I could see that spark there. We'll get him in playing a guitar.
Okay, well, if you want produce, the New Leaf Produce Market, go down, talk to this man right here, Herman Hothi. If you want appliances, this guy right here, Gord Stevens, Gord's Appliance and Mattress Center. They're hiring right now, delivery people, and the Gord's Giving Back program. We know about this program. Benevolent people. They give away appliances monthly to those in need. You can apply online at gordskamloops.ca. And we love McDonald's. My coffee's so good it's finished. But Mike,
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
for Folds, Greg the engineer, Magic Mike and Bill, we'll see you last week.